The Russians attacked the Odessa region tonight with ballistic, anti-ship, and anti-radiation missiles. The Air Force Command reported this. In addition, the enemy launched 202 strike UAVs of the Shahad, Gerbera, and Paradia decoy drone types, as well as banderole loitering munitions at Ukraine. Preliminary reports indicate that air defense forces shot down or lost track of 174 enemy UAVs. Hits by missiles and strike UAVs were recorded at 22 locations, while at 6 others, downed aircraft fell. As a result of countermeasures, several enemy missiles failed to reach their targets. Information about the locations where they fell is being clarified. 9 wounded, destroyed residential buildings, and damaged critical infrastructure facilities. These are the consequences of the strike the enemy launched on Odessa overnight. The military says this was one of the largest scale attacks in recent times. We'll find out what the situation is in the city from our correspondent. Andrea Nastasov is with us live from Odessa. Hello, colleague. What is known as of now?
Hello, Lilia. Yes, indeed. It was a combined and very massive attack. The shelling began at 3 a.m. and lasted for about 3 hours. Against the Odessa region, the enemy used a large number of attack drones, missiles of various types, anti-ship, anti-radar, and ballistic missiles, banderoli. And in particular, the main strike fell precisely on Odessa. The destruction here is the greatest. Right now, we are in the very center of the city. As a result of the enemy attack, a 4-story residential building was hit here. The building caught fire. This is a historic building, an architectural landmark. The flames engulfed 1,000 square meters. Many apartments and rooms in the adjacent hotel burned to the ground, as did the cars of local residents. The latter recall how they evacuated their homes at night and escaped the fire. Next, I suggest we listen.
A hit on our building. It was terrifying. Such a flash. The child woke up and my son was just, he was in the other room. He just flew in. He climbed out onto the roofs. Then we saw that the roof started burning and the apartment started burning.
The stories we've heard here are staggering. For example, we spoke with an elderly couple who completely lost their home as a result of the fire. People didn't even have time to get dressed at night, so the clothes were provided to them by volunteers. Now the pensioners will live in a hostel where the district administration has temporarily placed them. Here's what people are saying.
I was sleeping peacefully, and suddenly things started falling on me. Plaster, glass, and cars caught fire in the courtyard. And from that fire, it spread to our apartment, and it burned to the ground. No passports, no money, not a single cent. There's nothing left. We didn't even have time to put on socks.
At this time, it is known that 9 people were injured in the enemy attack. 3 of them were hospitalized in moderate condition, and the rest will be treated on an outpatient basis. Mostly people. People suffered shrapnel wounds. Fires also occurred in another district of Odessa. There, as a result of the enemy attack, residential buildings in the private sector were partially destroyed. Besides that, the enemy also hit critical infrastructure facilities. In particular, they struck the energy sector. Right now, many districts of Odessa are without electricity. Electric transport service is temporarily suspended, and there's no water supply. Repair work is ongoing. And in all districts of Odessa, the delivery of non-potable water has been organized. That's the news for this moment. Lilia, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you, colleague. Inter-correspondent Andrea Nastasov told us about the consequences of the massive shelling of Odessa. Traffic on the Odesa-Reni section has been partially restored. This was reported by the State Border Guard Service. Previously, they reported traffic restrictions on the highway, which made it impossible to reach certain checkpoints on the border with Moldova and from them in the direction of Odessa. 2 people died and 27 were injured as a result of the Russian strike on Kharkiv. Among the injured is a 5-year-old boy. According to the Regional Military Administration, Russian forces launched a missile strike on a 10-story residential building in the Saltivsky district of the city. As a result, the 7th through 9th floors were destroyed. An office building nearby was also hit. The cleanup operation is still ongoing. Preliminary reports indicate the enemy used Banderol missiles.
One person died near this location and another person near a different one. So at the other location, 3 more people were injured. That's where the office space is. The fire there has been contained for now, and efforts to deal with the aftermath of the enemy strike are ongoing. Regarding this location where the residential building is, as I already mentioned, one person died. They were outside on the street. So 6 more people have been rescued from the rubble. So in total, 13 people were injured at this location.
In total, over the past day in Kharkiv and the region, the Russians have killed 3 people and wounded 25. In addition to Kharkiv, they attacked 12 other settlements in the region. The victims and injured are residents of Izium, Artemivka, Lozova, Kivsharivka, and Mikhailivka. In addition, a 69-year-old man died as a result of an explosion of an unknown device in the village of Verkhnova-Dianin in the Bliznyuki community. The enemy targeted the region with 2 missiles, 4 guided aerial bombs, Garin-2 and Molnia drones, and 7 FPV drones. The type of nearly 4 dozen other UAVs is being determined. Private homes and outbuildings, power grids, a cemetery, an administrative building, railway infrastructure, and passenger cars were damaged. 3 people were injured as a result of a night attack on the Zhytomyr region. According to the Regional Military Administration, the Russians hit a private residential house. Outbuildings were also affected. In addition, civilian infrastructure facilities and a private enterprise with German investments were damaged. 11 people were wounded as a result of Russian shelling in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Among them are 4 children. The Regional Military Administration reports the Russian army attacked 3 districts nearly 10 times using drones, artillery, and an aerial bomb. In Pavlograd, infrastructure, a shopping center, cars, and outbuildings were damaged. In Nikopol and the Marganets community, a lyceum and a private house were hit. In the morning, the Russians attacked Semenivka in the Chernihiv region with an FPV drone. It exploded near a store, the district military administration reports. 3 people were wounded, 1 victim is in serious condition. At night, the Russians attacked residential neighborhoods in the central district of Kherson with drones. There was a hit on one of the high-rise buildings. Several apartments were damaged. Windows were blown out, rooms and balconies were mangled, as well as the walls of the building. One of the commercial facilities in the city was also under attack. The windows and roof were damaged where the Regional Military Administration has not reported any casualties. Portable charging stations on the front line are not a matter of comfort. They guarantee uninterrupted communication between units, ensure the operation of drones and power equipment. And that is why the soldiers of the 32nd Separate Mechanized Steel Brigade are reaching out for help. The donation details and QR code are on your screens. The 32nd Brigade is a unit that held the defense in the Svatov direction, fought in the Kharkiv, Sumy, and Zaporizhia regions, and has been destroying the enemy on the Pokrovsk front for almost 2 years. The fighters actively use modern unmanned systems and artillery. To keep their work going, the soldiers need EcoFlow charging stations. So we ask you to support the fundraiser. I'm reminding you that the payment details are on the screen. And remember, even the smallest donation matters.
We, the fighters of the 32nd Steel Brigade, which has been holding the Pokrovsk direction for almost 2 years now, need EcoFlow-type charging stations to supply our positions, command posts, to ensure the operation of UAVs, the delivery of provisions, and to support our troops on the front line. I ask everyone who cares to join the fundraiser. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes.
Ukraine will not leave the Donbas on its own initiative because no one can guarantee that Putin won't go further. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated this. According to him, the Russians cannot seize more Ukrainian territories. Instead, Putin will try at any cost to present his actions in Ukraine as a victory.
We must understand roughly what is happening with the Russians in order to understand that they will go to any lengths. There will be hundreds of thousands of cyber attacks. There will be the use of missile pressure. There will be intimidation and so on. They do not change. Lie. Look, Putin cannot yet find a victory in this war. He needs it. He is looking for it at the expense of Ukraine. Unfortunately, we must acknowledge and understand what is happening. He is thinking, he's confident about this regarding mobilization. He is thinking about how to deceive his own people. In what sense? That is, to carry out mass mobilization while not declaring it, right? That is, to make some shadow contracts, block borders, and so on.
It was alarming in the Russian city of Belgorod. As Russian opposition media report, at night, air defense tried to shoot down drones right over residential buildings. Consequently, numerous fires and destruction occurred. Local residents wrote online about swarms of drones over Belgorod. Eyewitnesses filmed footage of the massive attack and the air defense system in action. Turkey is preparing a large-scale transfer of weapons to Ukraine. In particular, Ankara will sell Kiev 70 ATACMS and ballistic missiles, 12 M270 multiple launch rocket systems, and tens of thousands of cluster munitions. In total, there will be 2 weapons packages with a total value of over $280 million. This is stated in the official record of the U.S. Congress proceedings. They will be transferred through Turkish, Bulgarian, and American defense and logistics companies. Turkey is interested in reducing its stockpiles of outdated weaponry in order to redirect resources toward modernizing its arsenal. Some of this weaponry is American-made. U.S. permission is required to transfer it to Ukraine. Therefore, deliveries could start after the completion of the required document review procedure in Congress. The Pentagon has called on the American defense industry to quickly ramp up the production and supply of weapons. This is all due to a shortage that has become critical as a result of the protracted war in Iran. This is reported by the Washington Post, which obtained a memorandum from the U.S. Department of Defense. Specifically, it states that this week, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense reached out to the heads of relevant companies. They have no more than 21 days to submit plans for significantly accelerating the supply and production of critical components. Previously, the publication wrote that in just the first month of the war with Iran, the U.S. launched over 850 Tomahawk cruise missiles and nearly 1,000 Patriot and THAD interceptor missiles. In addition, Washington used more than 1,300 ballistic missiles.